the codification of the Philippine English Vocabulary. As in other contexts to which English was transported, new words and expressions were coined by English speakers in the Philippines as they encountered unfamiliar flora and fauna, strange peoples, and the rather different social institutions indigenous to the islands or the legacy of Spanish colonialism. In fact, the process of lexical innovation and vocabulary creation dates back to the early years of colonization, if not to the various American anthropological expeditions that were mounted before the US invasion in 1898. Evidence of this is available from a number of sources, including the letters and journals of the American Thomasite teachers who were dispatched to every province in the islands between 1901 and 1910. The experience of the early Thomasite teachers in their cultural and linguistic contact with the country was perhaps representative of that early post-war American colonial personnel who arrived in the Philippines. The texture of that experience can be observed in the memoirs that were left by those teachers, many of which were subsequently published in various forms by Ferrer 1906, Marquardt 1943, Paris 1974, and etc. One little-known memoir is that Thomasite Glenn H. Evans, who was based in Borongan, Samar, excerpts of those diary were published in a magazine, or it was called Philippine Panorama in 1974. The extracts show that almost from the very beginning, these teachers were borrowing words from local languages into their writings.
William B. Frere's account of his experiences as a teacher in Nueva Vizcaya, entitled The Philippine Experiences of an American Teacher in 1906. This is of interest both of its social historical commentary on the early colonial period and also for the linguistic evidence that it provides of early language contact and lexical borrowing in Philippine English. It is also evident from Frere's account that among the Thomasites, there was a clear awareness of a new culture and a new lexicon even in this early period.
Freer incorporates a substantial number of Philippine words into his memoir, chiefly by borrowing items from Spanish and Philippine languages. These are generally italicized throughout the body of his text and variably glosed in the text. Spanish words in the list includes such item as abaca, which means Manila hemp, abija, which means bee, alcalde, which means mayor, alegria, which means joy, aspirante, which means aspirant, bailarina, which means belle at a ball, and baile, which means ball, and ball dance, and banquet, which means banquet, barrio, which means hamlet, camisita, shirt, centavo, cent, chino, Chinese, compañero, companion, Dios, which means God, divino, divine, fiesta, festival, fiscal, prosecuting attorney, gallo, which means roaster, gracias a Dios, which means thank God, and maestrola, which means teacher, mayo, which means May, normalista, which means normalite, and etc.
Good day, everyone. I am Rona G. Lion, and here are some examples of Tagalog labeled words include anito or spirit, anting-anting, a magic charm, bagyo or typhoon, bangka or a dugout canoe, baroto or a large dugout canoe, bolo, a knife used for working or fighting, bori, a species of palm and its fiber, boyo, a mixture for chewing, and kalao, a bird with a spoon bill, and carabao the water buffalo, and the ilang-ilang a tree, the lakban or grapefruit, the maliliput or cold, the molavi a tree and its wood, nipa a kind of palm and its foliage, and salamat or thank you, or sarong a loose skirt-like garment, and the talisay a tree and tao or peasant. With reference to the free list described above, what interested us the most is that initially as lexicographers and social linguists was first the status of such a glossary as a representation of early language contact and Philippine English. And the second one is the extent to which words that were early borrowings in this variety were still to be found in the language. In fact, by using the database of Asian Englishes that Macquarie has compiled in Sydney called AsiaCorp, we're able to check how many of these items were still in the language. So, in that time, the AsiaCorp database for the Philippines comprised texts that were mainly drawn from literary sources, and it is possible that a number of these items exist mainly as relic items which are already archaic. Nevertheless, it is evident that a substantial number of words in the fair glossary are still in everyday usage in Philippine society, and all of which we would suggest lends credence to the notion of an early stratum in Philippine English vocabulary.